What's going on, guys? We have another cool thing to install. I'm so excited for this one. I'm like smiling like a little kid. I literally just finished doing the wheels, the fitment and everything, and literally in the mail I got my doubled-in stereo with my doubled-in kit to make the dash a doubled-in, basically doubled-in compatible. So we're gonna go ahead and install the doubled-in radio. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I'm gonna do it. Pretty simple, just wiring and everything, but a lot of people may not know how to do it, and it is, electrical. So some people are scared and they try to avoid electrical. So I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can on the install. But first, let me start by showing you guys what doubled-in kit I chose and which doubled-in radio I chose. All right, so let's start with the radio that I chose. I chose a Pioneer NEX. You can see the number here of the stereo. The reason why I chose this stereo is because it has Apple CarPlay, and that for me is very important because all the phones I've owned after the iPhone came out have been iPhones, so I'm gonna really use this Apple CarPlay feature. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, so I'm gonna install it and figure it out. The other reason why I chose this unit is because it's compatible with iData Link Pro Maestro, and even though the Evo is not linkable with iData Pro, and let me explain for those of you that don't know what iData Link Maestro is basically all your gauges and controls of the car, like boost pressure, your oil temperature. If your car has proximity sensors, you can control your AC blower here. You can control everything with iData Link. It's not compatible with Evo, but I'm gonna try to see how I can accomplish that. So basically all my gauges are gonna be set up in this monitor right here. So I'm gonna be able to see boost pressure, oil temp, AFR gauge, like basically everything. The possibilities are limitless if I figure out the wiring and how to do it, the sensors that I have to install and all of that. It's gonna be a cool project, but that's the reason why I chose this head unit. Besides that, the other thing that I got is the doubled-in dash kit, which basically makes the car doubled-in compatible, and I will have to transfer my AC ports to control the AC, like temperature and all of that, to the bottom where the gauges are currently set up. But the goal at the end is to not have gauges and have everything, all the gauges set up in the actual radio itself. So basically it comes, the doubled-in kit comes with these two units, the wiring harness for the radio, and then brand new AC, I don't know what you want to call these, but basically this is for the AC knobs. They're basically brand new with 3M double-sided tape in the back. Let's go ahead and unbox this baby up. For those of you who are wondering, this head unit is not that expensive actually. I got it on Amazon and it was like $280. Usually this one, it was priced at $400 and it just recently went down to $280. So not a bad pickup for what it's capable to do. We have a mic for Bluetooth talking and calling, so basically you can answer the phone and not have to grab your phone. USB cable, the bolts to the screws to screw it in the dash, and then this is the harness for the actual radio itself, and then we're basically going to be mating this with this, and then instructions, boring stuff, and then I'm assuming the radio. This is gonna be the radio, and it's incredibly light. Like, I have another app radio on the Technica, on the Mitsubishi Technica, and that one's super heavy, but this is incredibly light. Like, this doesn't weigh anything. Like, it feels like it doesn't have anything in there, but this is how it looks. It's a 6.2-inch screen, and all of the buttons here on the side are touch, but it looks really simple and clean, and that's how I like everything. So let's go ahead and install this. This is the rear for those of you who are interested on what it has. Let's go ahead and start with the wiring harness, because you do have to connect these two, this to plug into the factory and then this to the radio. So I'm gonna start with that and we'll go from there. So I already went ahead and spliced two, but I wanna go over on how I'm gonna splice all these connections. Basically what I'm doing is I'm connecting the OEM plug for the Evo on this side with the radio harness. And to splice it, I really pay attention to splicing and try to do it as fast as possible, because the worst thing that you want to, like, you don't want to install a radio and then have to remove it and look through electrical issues. So you want to do this right the first time. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab a heat shrink tubing and insert it through the harness. In this case, I'm using 5 and 64 inches tubing, or you could use 3 by 32 inches also. It's like a really small tube, as you can see. But basically you're gonna insert this first, because you're gonna slide this in after you do the harness. I'm going to be splicing a little bit longer, this a little bit longer, just like that. And let me cut this end right here. And then we're gonna splice the small one. Like that. And now we have the 2 connections. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna make it flat, open it a little bit. Like if you were gonna sweep something, like those old sweepers. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna pass them through each other. So basically just like this, and then you're gonna grab them and then just literally twist it very tight, very precise. Twist one side first, so that completes one side, and then you're gonna want to do the other side. Like I said, as precise as you can. And you don't want to leave any sharp cables hanging around, because that's what could cause, you know, a break on the harness. So once you have it pretty squeezed together, you know, pull on it, make sure that, you know, I'm pulling super hard and it's not ripping. You're good. You're gonna go ahead, pass the heat shrink tube around, and then basically get the lighter and heat it up. You don't want to spend a lot of time on the lighter. Then I'm gonna flip it around and heat it up on the back side. And that's good. Now you can see how clean and good this, you know, splice was. And that's pretty much it. So basically I'm gonna do the same thing with all these colors. I'm gonna try to time lapse this. If you have any questions, you know, you guys could always leave a comment, and you can find this on Google and YouTube. There's so many ways of splicing, NASA spec, but I prefer this one because, you know, it connects them each other and you feel like it's really tight. You can pull on it and it won't go anywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this out of the park, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I just spliced up all the harness and all the connections very cleanly with the heat shrink tube. Basically, there was 2 colors that were left out. This is like a power antenna, which the Evo doesn't have, and I'm not sure what this orange connects to. And then from the radio, I have a mute, a remote control that I'm not gonna be using, and a reverse input that I don't have a matching cable for from the factory outlet. This is the ground, and then this is for the emergency brake. Basically, you connect this to the emergency brake and it knows that you're stopped or not. There's a bypass for this, so I'm gonna be doing that. And now it's just basically connecting this to the radio, connecting this to the factory outlet, and that's it. Okay. All right, so now that the harness is ready and everything, what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this old, ugly radio. And before you do that, you have to make sure to disconnect the battery. I already disconnected the battery. I don't have my key in my ignition, so we're set to go. So to remove this radio, you can start by doing that. I kind of looked online, and these come out. So you want to make sure you put these somewhere safe, because you are going to reuse them. And this one as well. And then there's 2 screws here. So it's Phillips, so I'm gonna remove those. And make sure you save everything because you are going to be reusing these. And now, I'm not sure how to pop this out. I'm pretty sure you just pry it out, but I don't want to be extra careful. I don't want to break anything. Just like that, and then pretty sure it's just a couple of clips. And just like that. So that's it for this part. You can put this aside. We are not going to be using these, so I'll be selling that. If you're interested, hit me up. Quick ad. And now we need to remove these two. So I'm going to be relocating the AC unit down here, and I'm going to be removing this whole unit completely, and we're going to use this whole space for the double din. So I'm going to remove these screws from here. I'm going to be able to pull this out just like that. There's going to be a harness in the back, so I need to be really careful. There's a ground there, there's a couple of plates. Wow. Alright, so where do we start? There we go. That's the harness. Then we have these two we don't need. Where is this going? Didn't unplug none of this. And then this right here, I'm not sure what this is. This is for, and we're gonna have to unbolt this ground that this harness has. Wow, whoever put this in here is crazy. Now let's have this, which I'm assuming was the antenna. And now we still have this weird looking dude, which I have no clue what it's for, but this is a good start. So the unit is completely removed. This is going to the trash. We're basically, all we're doing right now is removing the old harness that whoever installed this radio did. It has a whole lot of crap in here, which I'm not sure what's going on in here. Oh, because this had a DVD, so they routed the cable for, yeah, they routed the cable, the switch to here, which I'm probably gonna use that, to be honest. So anyways, then we have this going here. Let me unplug this harness out of the way. There we go. Alright, so the old harness for the old radio is finally out. Completely out, remove every single cable. So this is basically easy. Unplug from the factory harness and the old radio harness, or if you have an OEM one, follow the same steps. And now I have to remove this setup for the AC completely downwards. So I'm gonna start removing this setup right here, which I think has screws. Alright, so before removing these, there should be 2 screws here. Mine doesn't have it, so you could just go ahead and try to pop this out. So just like that. You can remove this from the bottom. This is gonna go on the other side because I may use this. We're gonna remove this. All right, so finally I got to remove the gauges, the OEM gauges that it has. Two plugs here. Here it has one plug on the top and then the vacuum hose for the boost gauge. So remove those two, and now I have this completely out of the way. The reason I'm removing this for now is I'm gonna either buy separate other gauges, or like I said at the beginning of the video, I believe, is I'm going to make the screen of the radio have all the gauges set up electronically on the dash. So we'll figure that out later on, but for now I need to remove this. All right, so I was finally able to move the AC control unit down below. This was kind of like a mission because it has two cables on each side, one here and one here, but you have to unclip them from the bottom. So this whole time I was trying to unclip them and move them up from the top, and it's like this, but you have to go through the bottom and unclip these units right here. So as you can see this, you will put a flathead screwdriver and push it forward and it will unclip and then pull it out. And not only that, it has little clips on each retaining, so you won't be able to remove it out. So you have to unclip this, move it out. You have to unclip these two with like a plier and then move it up. So it was kind of complicated, but I was able to remove it. Then you unclip these two harnesses, move it to the bottom. I just plugged them back in, and now I'm gonna locate it just how it should go and bolt it right up. Alrighty, so after some research, this thing has been a pain in the ass, just so you guys know. I already told you guys how to remove it, but now I have to remove these brackets, these two brackets, and I need to actually cut through them so these cables, the actual cables, can fit and I could use it, you know, well, because right now it's kind of stuck in the back part. I need to make a hole right through there, so one, the black cable could pass through there, and then the blue cable could pass through there. So yeah, this has not been fun. Every other radio that I've done has been super easy, plug and play. This one I have to remove this, but whatever, let's get it done. So just to walk you guys through what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove this bracket and this bracket right here, and to remove it, all you have to really do is unscrew this bolt and this bolt right here, which I already did. Now I'm doing the other side, which is this one and that one, and this bracket itself should come out. I'm gonna check that out right now and see if it does come out. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then we're gonna have to take some other stuff out, but let's see how it goes. All right, so I finally got him out of the car, and what a mission. But I'm gonna tell you exactly what is it that you have to do to take it out, so you are not gonna have to go through the mission of figuring it out yourself. There are two bolts. The two bolts that I showed you at the beginning were these and these, but then there's 4 screws hidden in each top and bottom tab. So one here, one here, the other one right here, and the other one right here. And I'm gonna show you in the car how they are positioned. In the car, they're all the way up here. So this is one of the tabs for one of the screws. The other one's on the other side, and the other one is down below right here. So to remove them, I basically use a small screwdriver, and it's just hard, but you're gonna be able to figure it out. For this bottom left one, there's an easy way. You could just go look at my hand underneath the pedals, but for these upper ones, you're just gonna have to stick your hand through somewhere, like for example through this side right here. I lowered the glove compartment and try to take them out. It's gonna be the easiest way, because cutting that in the inside is gonna create a mess in the interior, and you're not gonna want to do that. So now I'm gonna get to cutting the brackets. Should be pretty simple from here. These are positioned like this, and all I have to do is cut this bottom left corner and some of the right corner. So let me do that, and then I'll get back and show you guys what I cut. Alrighty, so the first part was finally cut. That's the left side of the bracket. Now I'm cutting the right side, which is a smaller cut, as you can see. And I'm having more luck with this machine rather than that one. It's just cutting finer and just straight through the cut. So as you can see, it's cleaner. I already cut this one, so let me get to this one and then installing it back in. Alright, so I just finished cutting it. Again, I just want to show you guys the left side. That's what I ended up cutting, just so you guys can mock it up and maybe cut it yourself. And then for the right side, that's what I cut. I taped it off just because some of the edges were really sharp, so I don't want any cable to get cut or anything like that, so I just taped it off, make it a little bit softer. And now I'm gonna put it back in. Alrighty, so this is where we're at. Like I said, brackets were cut, so now I was able to connect the lines back to the HVAC system. So I connected the black line, the blue line, and now it's cleared because of the cut, and it's cleared here to go all the way because of the cut. So now it's just a matter of putting it back in. I just put in the stickers of the new unit. Super clean, looks super OEM. So I'm gonna basically bolt everything back up, and now it's kind of the easy part after all this work. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll record how it looks after. Alrighty, so back in here, all that is left to be done is just basically plugging in the doubled in. The harness, the OEM harness is here, ready to be plug and play with the harness that we already mounted. This is the antenna, as you can see. We will be connecting our ground probably right here, or we could use this existing ground here that these cables are using, but I'll probably use this to get a good ground. And that's pretty much it. The HVAC unit is connected below. Like I said, again, the cuts that I made were right here and right here to the left. As you can see, I put some tape there just in case. But that is pretty much it. It's basically time to insert this doubled in. So I'm gonna use the old brackets from the other radio. So now for the next step, what I need to do is transfer these brackets, this factory bracket for the singled in onto the doubled in. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And I put the bracket in from the other radio, as you can see. So it's ready to go in, but before I install it in the car, we have to do some miscellaneous things. For example, this parking brake green wire from Pioneer is for you to not be able to see videos while you're driving the car. And that kind of sucks. I guess they're doing it for safety, but you could do a bypass to this. I've done a couple of bypasses on a couple of radio installs that I've done, and it's pretty simple. I'm taking the switch that the other harness had, but you basically just buy a switch. And there's different ways to do this. This is just one way. But you're basically gonna get a switch here, so that way you could, I guess, I don't know if it has a part number, you could get this one, but you literally just need an on and off switch. And you could put this anywhere in the car. You need to connect a positive or whatever. You need to basically splice the green one with the positive, and then you're just gonna ground this black wire to any ground in the car. And all you're gonna do is basically turn it on and off, and the system is gonna think that you're turning on your emergency, putting it down, and putting it back on. And for this, you're gonna be allowed to see videos while you're driving, which is not safe. I don't recommend it. But sometimes you have people in the car, and I'm going on a road trip or something like that, and you want the the passenger to see a movie, you could do that. And if you want to play music videos while you're driving or whatnot, whatever the case may be, you could do that. You could bypass it, but please be safe and don't get in an accident for watching videos while you're driving. I wouldn't recommend that. So, like I said, I'm gonna splice this to the gray wire. Right here. I'm gonna ground this cable somewhere in the car, and I'm gonna pass this through the glove compartment, and all I have to do is on and off, and you're gonna be able to see a video. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any other questions, I'll be more than happy to help you. The other thing that I have to figure out is what way I'm gonna route this Bluetooth microphone. This is for you to be able to talk on, like, answer a call and talk while you're driving and not have to hold the phone. Pretty self-explanatory there. And a USB port for you to connect your phone. I'm gonna pass it probably through the middle of the car and pull it up through the middle compartment. And that's pretty much it. And just to explain, behind your radio, you're gonna have your antenna. This is for your antenna. I believe this one's for your Bluetooth microphone, USB port, and then your actual harness. Everything else is pretty much, if you have it in the car, like Sirius XM, navigation system, and these are for amps and things like that. So pretty simple and pretty self-explanatory. Wired up this harness, radio brackets installed, so now it's just time to connect this harness to the OEM plug, connect this to the radio, make sure that I connect this ground, and it's plug and play from here. So let's do that. This, just to show you guys the route that I chose for the Bluetooth speaker, I basically literally routed it through here, and right here you can see a little cable, and it is right here on this handle for the steering wheel. There's a little handle, I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm literally just clipping that in right there, and that's perfect because I'm right here driving, and you could, you know, that's a good location, and it's easier than routing it through the top, and then you can see a little bit of cable here, or you could put it up here on the visor, but I chose that way. Make sure I tidied it nice and neat, and it's basically plugging it into the radio. Next thing that I chose for the USB, I routed it through here for now. I already had a hole there for my electric dampening system, so I routed it through there now, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it there, if I want to route it through the center console, so I'm gonna figure it out, see how I like it, and if not, I'll switch it. So that's ready to plug, and that's basically it. I'm about to ground this black wire for the harness. This black wire, I'm gonna ground it right here like I had said before, and then for the switch, for this switch right here, I'm gonna route it through this side and put it right here where it was already for the old radio that it had. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll record the rest. Real quick, I already did the ground for the harness. I ran the parking brake switch right here. I already have it routed, so I have this cable connected to here, and then I have a ground that I used up there, and this opens nice and smooth. And then I had the USB cable, like I already said, coming out through the glove compartment as well. So now it's just a matter of plugging in the harness, plugging in the radio, and it is go time. Everything's set up, Bluetooth mic set up, USB and everything. Just make sure you plug everything through the back, and make sure you put everything organized back there, and insert the doubled in. Alrighty, so showtime. Let's make sure we connect this harness in, nice and easy. Perfect, once you hear it click, that means you're good. Push this to the back. Then I still need the antenna. Which is right here. And then I have my USB right here, so I gotta connect in the radio. I have to connect the Bluetooth mic, the antenna, which goes right here on the left. I'm trying to show you guys, but we gotta connect the antenna. Then I still have the harness and the USB. USB goes right here in the corner. We all know what a USB looks like. And then we have the all amazing harness. And that clicked. So now it's just a matter of putting all of this in here neatly. That's much better. Now nothing's binding, nothing's hitting nothing. Now that's pretty much it. We're just gonna take these 4 screws here, bolt them up. All right, so after mocking the radio up and everything, I noticed that there's like, it's not really that big of a gap, but it's quite a gap. So I'm gonna modify the bracket so I could basically tilt this a little bit downward so it could be centered where it needs to be, because as you can see, it's a pretty decent gap, and it doesn't look, you know, OEM how I want it to look. So I'm gonna try to drill the bracket so I could give it a little bit of an angle, because it's just a tiny bit, so it could be exactly centered on the middle. So this is the bracket that I'm speaking about. The bracket, like, it fits like this. That's the highest position that I could put it. But all I need is a little bit of angle. So all I need is maybe to have it like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill the hole. I'm gonna make this hole a little bit lower, and that should give me the angle that I need so it can look exactly perfect. Alrighty, so made the hole a little bit longer, as you can see on one side and the other side. Now I'm gonna try to mock it up and put it back in and see how it looks. All right, so let's see now how it comes out. The brackets are fixed up. That's perfect. That's like right in the middle, so perfect. So then let me go ahead and bolt all the harness behind. I already recorded that, so I'm gonna skip through this. I'm just gonna bolt the harness in again, and then I'll record putting everything towards the end. Alrighty, so this is it. Everything's plugged in, everything's connected. Let's see how this comes out. Yeah, that's centered. I haven't even clicked on it and I already noticed a difference. Yep. I'm so stoked for this. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me see if I can pull out the camera, but that is legit. Let me pull it out of the tripod. That is legit way better than how it was. We had a really big gap here in the bottom, so now it looks even. There's still a little bit of a gap on the borders, but it actually looks really nice. Like, you know, it looks really OEM. It looks like it's meant to be there. And also for this HVAC unit in the bottom, it honestly looks a par, and it looks like it's meant to be there. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up everything, all this mess that I have here of, you know, screws, Phillips screwdrivers and brackets, and I'm gonna connect the battery and turn this on and see what happens. Hopefully everything's connected right and, you know, we're good to go. Alrighty, so battery is connected and I want to see if everything goes smooth. About to put in the key. I hope everything turns out good. Loading, which is the original screen. So far so good. And it seems to be working. Select program language, English. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to press here. Speaker mode settings, attention. Okay, do not use this unit in standard mode when a speaker system. Okay, read all safety instructions. And we are good. So apparently the radio is connected and working. So let me see. I mean, there shouldn't be any service here, radio-wise. Yeah, there shouldn't be because I'm like in a garage. But let me see a station that I know, 96.5 maybe. Okay. So everything seems to be working. That's great. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. Let me pause this. Wait, how do I go? I'm gonna go ahead and try on the Bluetooth and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video, make sure that everything's working. But yeah, so successful install. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up everything, but as you guys can see, really clean and it's working. So good stuff.